That was when I really said my purpose was to suffer. My life is like surviving, trudging. I was like, there was no smile, there was nothing. I was angry at the world, I was angry at God.
Welcome to yet another edition of Living Boldly with Purpose. And I'm Dr. B. I'm your host. And each time, you guys, if you've watched any of my shows, you know I say this. I get the honor of having some incredible guests on. And today I have Gina on, but it's just, when I think about our stories, and I think, one of the things I think that makes this podcast special is I ask for the stories. Some people want to just give their bio or that's what we're used to doing, right? When we greet somebody, we always have this context, the context of whatever it is. Like if I'm at a business meeting and somebody asks, "Who are you?" then usually I will say, "This is who I am based on what I do at that business that allows me to do stuff," right? And so, or if I'm at if I was trying, obviously I'm not trying to date a woman right now because I'm married and happily married. And but if I were, then if she asked me who I was, I would say, "This is Brian," and probably give some background that I think she would want to know that would allow me to be in that relationship. And then what makes it so unique is I try to take some of the context out of it, right? I want to know who the person is more than what they do. And sometimes we just talk about, when we introduce ourselves or we're out and about, that is the question. And sometimes that's even asked, well, what do you do? And so one of the things that I want to make sure that we do is just talk about who we are. And so I'm excited today. I get to learn about Gina. I get to learn about who she is, what she does, how she helps people. We were talking right before the show, and that, I asked her, "What are you excited about?" And she said, "I'm excited to talk about my story and what I'm doing and how I'm helping people." Because, Gina, I don't believe you can live, and maybe you have another viewpoint, but I don't know if you can live in purpose and be in purpose if you're not helping somebody else. If your purpose is to just take, then I don't think you're living in why God put you on this planet. I think you're just taking from other folks, and that's going to come back to you someday and hopefully hurt you. Because I want you to want to help people. So, Gina, thank you for being on the show. I don't know how to say your name. Economopolis.
Oh, close. Very close. It's Economopolis.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Economopolis.
Exactly. Easy.
So easy. What was I thinking? Well, I love your name. I appreciate
me too.
The time out to be on the show with us. Economopolis. I love it. You probably, I can't imagine being 5 years old trying to spell that. And the rest, whatever it is. Is it a married name or is it your name your whole life?
It's my name my whole life.
Oh my gosh.
It's been mine,
so
yeah.
I'm just managing you in kindergarten and the teacher just like putting letters on and then arrange them so they could go on the way. Oh my gosh. I was a teacher before, so I kind of think of the education lens. And I worked at an elementary school for a while. I was a PE teacher though. So I didn't have to deal with names other than, "Hey, you come over here and jump on this bar," or something like this. So, well, cool. Well, thank you. Go ahead and share your story with us. And I'm just going to listen, take some notes, and we'll chop it up after you get done. So
that sounds so good, Dr. B. And first of all, thank you. I appreciate you having me on your show and sharing my story to your listeners, to you, to whoever, and because that's my purpose today. I found when you talk about purpose, there was a time in my life that I thought my purpose was to suffer, be in pain, and not have anything in life, not have good things in life. And I really felt that. And it wasn't too long ago. It was about like maybe 10 years ago, 11 years ago. So I'm a slow learner. And also I had to come to know who Gina is, which I was a very, very slow learner. I grew up in New York. I'm on Long Island, Syosset, New York, one of 8 kids. So there was 8 Economopolises around.
Wow. I have 8 children, so I know what that family is like. And
Oh
so,
my God.
yes,
God bless
8
you. That
children
is,
and 16 grandkids now. So, yeah, it is amazing to have the big families. But we weren't all
isn't it?
Economopolises. We were
Yeah.
just Arnolds.
I mean, I was the seventh child.
Okay.
Uh, everyone, all my other siblings, they were very athletic, and in my eyes, they were beautiful in school. But when I was born when my mom was about 42 years old. That I was born with a lot of a lot of physical problems,
Okay.
which through my life I've had surgeries. And also throughout my life, if something bad was going to happen, I felt like it was going to happen to Gina. Yes, I'll take the fault. I'll take it. So I grew up in a loving family, of course, with a big family, with my parents being Italian and Greek. So I had the best combination. I always said, and but yet I grew up with insecurities within myself. I grew up with fear. I grew up. I didn't like myself as a child, even though everybody loved me. I had a great smile. I was known as Gina Lollobrigida. So I was this cute little Economopolis girl, coming up in the ranks of the Economopolis family. And so I was I was searching for love, and I was looking for love, and I was looking for in all the wrong places. And then as time was going on, of course, graduated from high school,
Mhm.
and when I would say maybe 13, 14, I wanted to get married at the age of 18 and have 5 kids by the time I turned 25, because I too wanted a big family, because of just seeing growing up in a large family and seeing my parents and how they loved each other, and how my mom was a housewife, a mother, and I mean, it was hard work. It was hard work, and I was like, yeah, that's what I want. That's what I want. So I went off to college, thinking my purpose to go to college was to find my guy, to find my
Mhm.
man, to find
Yeah.
my husband, and but sure enough, I didn't. I mean, I didn't find that Prince Charming that everyone in college goes to find. What I really found was drinking. I did a lot of drinking. Drinking made me feel good about myself. Drinking made me feel like someone that I thought I was, that I wanted to be, but I'm really not. And I drinking, I thought I was part of everything, part of everything. But yet I did graduate. I graduated with a social work degree. And at this point, my parents had left New York. They retired, because my mother had my younger brother, the eighth child, when she was 49. So they did a semi-retirement when they were in their 60s, and went to Pennsylvania, to Harrisburg. I had an older sister living there. So I decided to go live with them.
Okay.
And yeah, so I mean, and what does every college graduate does when they go home? Usually they go home to live with their parents, that they find a job. And
Mhm.
I was looking for a job in my social work, but at the same time I ended up bartending. So I bartended. So thinking, yeah, that's my purpose, my bartending days, this is going to be my life. Because to be honest, I never knew what purpose was back then. Even now I'm 21, 22 years old. Never heard of it, never thought of it. Like I said, I thought my purpose was to find a guy, have kids, and that's it. And but then yet during my bartending days, I decided I wanted to be on work on a cruise line,
A
like
cruise.
like the Love Boat, the Love Boat, da, da,
Yeah.
da, da, yeah, in that sense. So I wanted to be a Julie McCoy, and because I wanted to have fun. I guess that was my purpose, is to have fun and live life. Have fun and live life, and maybe I'll find Prince Charming on the Love Boat. I mean, they
There
did
we
it on
go.
TV, so why not in real life? Like, and so
Yeah.
I had all these applications ready to send out, and then during that time, my mother was diagnosed with cancer. She
Oh,
was went in for minor surgery, came out, and they gave her 4 to 6 months to live. She had bone cancer. This was back in 1991. So of course, I didn't go to the Love Boat. Of course, I didn't even think of sending those applications out. My purpose at that time, I'm taking care of my mom because I was the only child home with my dad. So there, my purpose was I was going to take care of my mom, but then yet in my mind of taking care of my mom, that she was going to be healed, that I was going to have my mom for a very long time. So I did everything. I was raised Catholic. During college, I left the church, didn't leave God, but I didn't have time, did not have time for church. And but yet, when mom was diagnosed with this cancer, with this terminal illness, what did I do? I went back to church, prayed. My mother brought out the rosaries, and I'm like, yes, this is it. This is it. Mom, you're going to be healed. You're going to be healed. Even though the doctors gave you 4 to 6 months to live, you're going to heal. But yet the doctors were right. She died in 5 months. So everything I did or thought I did to save my mom, to keep her alive, I was like, where are you, God? What happened? I did A, B, C, D, E, and my mom still dies. And she had bone cancer at the end, from the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
So now, what's my purpose then? My mom dies. I literally, was lost. I clung to my dad. I'm 23 years old. I don't have a boyfriend of, any establishment. I don't have a real job. So I'm hanging to my dad, afraid that he was going to die.
Oh no.
But yeah, that was just my fear because my dad, my dad, because my dad and I took care of my mom. And people were saying to me, oh, do what you did before taking care of mom. I said, I was taking care of mom. I was with her 24/7. So how could I go back to a life where I didn't know what my life was? I was bartending at the time too. What purpose did I have doing that? And so as I continue my journey, after my mom died, I did go back to the church because everybody said to me at my mom's wake or funeral, your mother's with God, your mother's with God. And I'm like, who the heck is this God person? So I go back into to the Catholic Church. I just said, God, I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to my mom. And lo and behold, as I kept searching, now I'm searching for the meaning of life. What's the meaning of life? Why do people die? What's heaven, etc. So as I was searching, I had like a spiritual experience, which I came back to my Catholic roots. Like I had like a St. Paul conversion. I say I got knocked off the bar stool instead of the horse, like, aha, I see the light. I want to follow Jesus and be a disciple and give my life to him. And I was in that mindset now, giving my life to God, that I ended up joining a convent, a Catholic convent.
Okay.
Yeah. I was a Franciscan nun in the South Bronx. My purpose, Dr. B. But as you can tell, I'm not a nun anymore. So, things. I was a nun for 12 years.
12 years, okay.
We served and lived with the poor. Hands-on. We lived in like the poor section of the Bronx, and we just, help people bring in the material, spiritual, whatever needs they, hands-on. And at the same time, I wore a full habit, gave my life to God. I had made final vows in the 7th year of my religious life. And so when you're making your final vows or like your marriage, it's for life. So I laid down my life. I married God. I married the church. I married the community. Made the vows of poverty, chastity, obedience for the rest of my life. Okay, that's my purpose. I'm a purpose. I've been called to be a nun, a vocation sister. And but yet it didn't happen. I endured joy of serving because I have a heart of service.
Okay.
And then I endured a lot of pain and suffering from the hands of the community. It's a real sad states, one would say. I mean, I went through a lot. I went through persecution. I felt rejected, betrayed. By the end of in my 10th year of being religious life, it was really, by this time, I was full of fear. I was full of anger. I just was like, whatever I did, I felt like I was being scolded at. And I felt like my personality wasn't jiving with them because I'm a
Mhm.
free spirit person.
Yeah.
And so in the 10th year, they said to me, we need a break from you. I'm like, okay, where do you want me to go? I ended up going to a therapeutical place for sisters and priests and nuns for out in Michigan. So I went out there for 4 months because at the same time I married God. I'm going through this hardship, this challenge. And what does one do? You want to work it out, work it out. So I did. I tried to work it out. I like I said, I went to this therapy place for, and then by the time I left the therapy place, it was run by sisters, and the sister says, "No, you're good. You have your faults, but you're okay. You're not crazy. You're good for this community." And they said, matter of fact, you'd be an asset for this community. So, okay, I'll go back and give it my all. I had a change of thinking. I had to read anger management books, boundary books, like all these self-help books.
Uh-huh.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And plus homework, I had to do all this homework about my feelings. I didn't realize I could feel, feeling and heard, about assuming and all this stuff, all negative thinking. I'm like, oh, my mind had a conversion.
Yeah.
So I did. I go back, but yet the sisters did not really receive me back with love. And then I went away again, and then trying to keep working on myself. And then the second time I went to a place where I was on a silent retreat where it was just between me and God. And I did that for a month, or I went for a month. Maybe this is what I need because I knew I needed some healing. I knew there was something not right with me inside. I go to this retreat. I end up staying for 7 months in silence. And now here I had a real
So
conversion
you
experience.
said 7 months in silence where you're not talking
Yeah.
to anybody like we see on TV at the monk or something, or
Well, so I would say that I did have there was a sister, because once again, it was at a sister community. A sister was assigned to me in those 7 months, and she would come every 24 hours. And that's where I would do my talking. She would give
okay,
me
so
some
you
homework. Yeah,
got it.
I would
Okay.
talk. And then, I would smile because I would go to mass, with the community, but I couldn't engage in any, but during that time, I was there for a few of the holidays, like Christmas and Thanksgiving. So they gave me the okay to come out and talk
Mhm.
and be socialized. I did not socialize. That's the question. That's the key thing. But yet at the end of the 7 months, I had a great experience. My heart opened up. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go back to the community to share with them, but none of them was open. And then I try to hang out. I try to work it out for the next few months. And then they said to me, you don't belong here anymore. So it's like I put blood, sweat, and tears.
Oh,
And then at the
wow.
end, and it was a very yeah, my heart was broken.
Oh,
I'm in this community. It was like in the year late 90s, the whole 2000. So I come into the world because I used to live in an austere living. I slept on the floor.
wow.
We didn't have anything, lived a real life of poverty. So I go from here to coming into the world. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? But instead, I ended up, after leaving the sisters or getting kicked out,
Mhm.
I uh I came here to New Jersey, and I live with men and women with disabilities. And
Okay.
there was a transition time because talking I clueless, clueless. Why did these religious people hurt me so much? Why did this happen?
Mhm.
And why did this? I don't understand. God, you called me to this life, and now you're rejecting me. I went through so many emotions of with the
Mhm.
church, with God, of course, like anger at the community. But yet being with the men and women with the disabilities, I was there for 2 years. It was sort of like a great transition time,
Yeah.
like healing, breathe, breathe in, breathe out, which I didn't realize it. But I also knew during that time, I knew how to drink. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go back to my drinking. That's the only thing I knew how to do.
You had a drink. All right. I love it.
Yeah, I'm already like, and mind you, I didn't drink for 12 years, which that's not true, but still, you know what I mean? Like, so,
I like it.
so I continue my journey. I'm in my 40s, 40, whatever, early 40s. And after 2 years of, being living with them, I decided, I was like, you know what? I'm tired of serving, because my whole life I felt like I was serving. Not, I mean, of course, as a bartender, but serving, the homeless, the youth, the elderly, the dying, you name it. I was always hands on. And then with the men, with the people with the disabilities, I love to do, but I was getting tired. So I was like, let me do what Gina wants to do. I still don't have a boyfriend, of course, because I left the nunnery. I didn't, and so it's like, okay, what is the meaning of my life? What is going to happen? So I came to the Jersey Shore. I did what Gina wants to do. She loves the beach. It's where heaven and earth meets. And she needs a job. So what is her job is I went back to bartending. That's the only thing I knew how to do. That's the only,
Well, you know how to
granted,
drink. So you know how
yes,
to drink, and now you know how to bartend.
I know how to bartend. I mean, yes, I could have probably gone for a social work job, but I don't want to deal with people. I want to do it. And
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
I bartended. I was like, okay, breathe. I got myself an apartment, a winter rental, never knew how. It had furniture, Dr. B. I was like, wow. I said,
Did
I
you
don't
have to
need to
drink
go
on the
out.
floor? Oh God.
Yeah. And I wouldn't know what to pick out with furniture or how to dress. I mean, I didn't know nothing. And, so anyhow, I was bartending, and maybe within the month, a gentleman walked in. His name is Danny. And I was like, we became friends, and then we started liking each other. We started dating, go on one date, and I finally told him I was a nun. It didn't scare him. It scared many other guys, but it didn't scare him.
Yeah.
That I was a former nun. And then, but I come to find out that he was an alcoholic. He was
Oh
drinking.
gosh. So you
So
don't know how to drink at this point. You're a
yes,
bartender. Okay.
yes,
Oh
I
my
was
God.
drinking with him. But then when I saw him being an alcoholic and what it did to him, I was like, and he couldn't stop. Of course, alcoholics can't stop unless they go to a program. So of course, and me, he suggested for me to go to a 12-step program called Al-Anon. So I did. I went to Al-Anon. He was going in AA, trying to get sober. Once again, I didn't know about alcoholism or the disease. I always thought it was just men and women under the bridge in a brown paper bag. That's what I thought what an alcoholic is. So I'm like, okay, Danny, just stop drinking. It's easy. It's easy. And but yet, he had his demons, and he found sobriety. Great guy, Dr. B. He was such a great guy when he didn't drink. Like, and it's like, this is the man I want to be with.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is my purpose. And he did. He found sobriety out in Arizona within 2 years after we met, because he was struggling, and found sobriety, found a job. He found like a new life. And I'm like, okay, you go there, and I'll come out there in 6 months. When I'm done with this job, we'll get married, and I'll support you,
Yeah. Yeah.
because he's a great guy. And so we he comes back, and he takes his truck, and he goes cross country, and I was working, so I couldn't go with him. His mom did, but then yet I get the next day, I sent him off, say a prayer, holy water, rosary. We got this. God, we got this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and then the next morning, I get that tragic phone call, 360-degree turn, that they got into a tragic accident in Indiana. And mom died, mom burned up, and Danny burned up. And at that time, he was lifted to go to Indianapolis to a hospital. It was a very tragic,
Yeah.
a tragic situation. So of course, when I heard that, I'm like, oh God, why? I gotta go, like this. Why is this happening? And so of course I uprooted from New Jersey. I went out to Indiana to be with him, because he did survive, even though he got burned from the head, half of his body. He was burnt. He was sober when this all happened, so that was a great thing. So here I'm thinking, okay, God, you saved him for me. You saved him. You saved him for us. And but about 2 months after that accident, what does every alcoholic do when they're in such pain and trauma? They pick up. Yeah. So he did. He picked up again. And when he picked up Dr. B, I still, because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know anything really about me, that I went berserk. I was manipulating. I was like, get out of here. I can't believe you're doing this, blah, blah, blah. So anyhow, we separated, kicked him out. You work on yourself. But then in that time of me kicking him out, I found him dead about a few months after that.
No. So over just because of the drinking? Is that what happened? Or?
Yeah, he fell and bumped his head. And I mean, only God knows of those last moments. I say that he fell into his higher power, into God's arm, when he hit his head in his apartment. So, but I found him dead a few days later. So now, Dr. Bob, at that moment, it was March 20th, 2013. Gina that was when I really said my purpose was to suffer, because I felt like all I kept doing through my life is like surviving, trudging. Okay, something good's going to happen. Something good. Oh, something's good. And then it takes away. Something good is going to take away. So at this point, I was like, there was no smile. There was nothing. I was angry at the world. I was angry at God. I was angry at my life. I was just, I didn't know. And so I came back to Jersey, and as I was just a wanderer. Like I had nothing inside me, nothing. There was no hope, no faith, no hope, no love, and no God. And I felt like that was hell. I mean, that's my experience of hell. And so when I got back here, I was kind of living out of my car. I finally found a place. I was just kind of moving
so
along.
Back in New Jersey or New York?
I'm back in I came back to New Jersey because this was Danny and his mom lived. And granted, he died, but I was thinking I would find him again, that this was a big nightmare. I felt like I was like, okay, he's home. This whole thing is a nightmare for me. But yeah, I come home, I come here, I found an apartment. I did go back to work in a like a social work, working at a house, once again with disability men and women, and I was just mosey along my life. It's like that's it. I wasn't living life. I was just simply breathing. I was simply existing, and I really did not want to live. I wouldn't kill myself, but I did not want to live. I prayed every night. I prayed. I said, God, please, I don't want to wake up tomorrow. Next morning, I'm like, crap, I'm up.
Wow.
So what do you want me to do? So I just kept pushing, and I just kept going forward and going forward. And then I decided, somehow I went into these AA meetings around here, because now my purpose was to find out why Danny died of the disease and these guys are sober. I go into these meetings, and I was talking to someone there. I was crying, talking about Danny. I wasn't there for me. I was there for Danny. And the gentleman I was talking to knew Danny, and he invited me to this other meeting, which is by the ocean here. And so I went, but I did not identify myself as an alcoholic. I was like, nope, I'm not. You guys are. I want to kill you all. I don't understand why you guys are living and Danny's dead. He was a good man, and you guys, some of you are jerks. Like I was just like, really, I was just so angry, and I was holding up the wall, like with my tears, anger. And so I was going every day to this meeting just to say, I wasn't an alcoholic, but the desire not to pick up, and then within the year, I'm a slow learner, Dr. B, because on April 2nd, 2015, I'm in one of the meetings, and I raised my hand, and I said, my name is Gina, and I am an alcoholic. I'm like, oh my God. Because about a month prior, a friend of mine came up to me and asked me what my relationship with alcohol is. I said, it's not me, it's Danny. So in hindsight, I go back in my past and how the alcohol, like I started young and how I just always wanted to be around alcohol and how I ran to the alcohol and there were times I couldn't stop and I would wake up in the morning and drink again. And yeah, and then I also had that emotional pain of an alcoholic, like that emptiness and that soul sickness. And so when I said I was an alcoholic, when that came out, at first, all the pain I was carrying, everything from, from the insecurities, the fear, the anger, and the situations with the sisters as with Danny just opened up and I was like on fire with pain.
Wow.
And 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 then somebody, not somebody, I know it was God that said to me, what do you want to do with this pain? Do you want to go drink it away? Or do you want to go to the pity couch where you love to be that victim? I was a victim. I loved
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
I'll put it on my forehead. I was a very good victim, griever, you name it, come to me. And then and I said, to myself, I go, no, I want to be free. I want to be free inside. I was so imprisoned with myself that I joined the AA. I joined the program. I got a sponsor, everything that was suggested for me to do. I didn't drink. I got a new relationship with my higher power, which I call God now. When I went in there, I hated him. I hated him with a passion. But as time went on, I was like, wow, wow. Now, today, Dr. B, I am living boldly with a purpose because I'm a sober woman of faith today.
I
I
love
know,
it.
I know who I am. I mean, it took me so long, but now I realize I could have used the program 30 years ago, but I didn't. I had to go through everything because I know who I am. First of all, I'm a child of God. Second of all, I am a sober woman of faith today. And I'm on a journey of healing. I'm on a journey of spreading the message of hope and strength. I'm also on the journey to receiving the hope and strength from other stories because we're all in it together.
Yeah.
And I just get so excited. And yes, I get so excited about my story, my passion. I mean, of course, it wasn't easy, but we all have a story to be told. And we all have pain and suffering we go through. But yet, I had to go through everything so I could be the person who I am today, really living a boldly life
Yeah.
with a purpose.
Well, I absolutely have questions for you because this is so neat because we always long for the stories, right? Where people actually come out. I can remember when I was growing up and I was going to the black church and we always had these ladies that were sitting in the first few pews and they all had white hats on and they would wear their Sunday best and they were just the sweetest ladies. But I would always ask them, like, how you doing, Miss Johnson? How you doing, Mrs. Jack? And they would say, I'm going through it, but I'm getting by, trusting the Lord. I'm going through it. And I kind of just grew up thinking, like, does anybody ever get through it? Because they're always going through it. And I'm like, I believe I serve a God of abundance and, all these things. But, so maybe you can just kind of talk about, when you finally got to the point where you got through it and what that was like, because you've been going through it not just like 1 year, but you've been going through it for several years. And then your identity and mindset changing, even because, you're living as a nun, right? And so now you're living as a person who is supposed to be like next to God as far as what you think, right? I'm giving my life to God and he's not reciprocating back to me what I believe it should be. So maybe talk about that.
Yeah, I would love to because by the time I got into the rooms of AA, my whole insides was like I was in this dark room. It was like thick walls, concrete. There was no windows, there was no doors. And the reason why I say that because going back all 30 years ago, I had a room. But it just kept going through as I was going through life and going from one trauma to another and grief and loss and just really not knowing who I was. I got stuck in my own self, in my own room. And so when I came into the rooms of AA and realizing, and it wasn't like an overnight experience, like, oh yeah, I'm an alcoholic. When I said that, I was like, who? It can't be me. I'm Gina Economopolis. I'm sister. That can't be me. But then yet, as I sat and just received one day at a time, breathe in and breathe out, and working a program and inviting the higher power of God that I learned, like, this is the same God into my life to help me, and learning that it's an inside job, that every day, without picking up and learning the tools, going to meetings, doing what I need to do, God did for me what I could not do for myself. That he finally gave me a door in my heart to come out. I can't explain it. I mean, this is just how I proceeded, and this is how I experienced it. And then all of a sudden, as I'm not picking up a drink, and as I'm trying to work a 12-step program, and as I giving it all to God and praying and developing this new relationship, it's like, oh my God, I got a window now. I could see out. Oh, I got a door. That means I could go out. Because prior to that, I was living this false identity in my whole life. Prior to that, I was running away. Who was I running away from? Yes, we're running away from God or a higher power, whoever it is. I was running away from Gina. There's a little girl inside me that I just kept covering up and covering up. So my experience of just working the program and just learning, and one day at a time, and being patient, and what I've learned, and going through my feelings. Oh my God, Dr. B, it's okay to be angry. Really? I don't have to hold it in. Oh, it's okay to cry. It's okay to grieve. You mean I don't have to be this, stoic person? Oh, I don't have to run to a drink to run it away. No, I could I could be human. I'm a human person. And when I realized I'm a human person that has faults, of course, because I'm not perfect, that it's an opportunity for me to grow. And that's where I see myself going from one side of darkness, real dark place. Now I'm like on the other side in the light, and within my heart. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's just in that I could live. In that I could live. That I could live in the light. I could live, with faith. I could live, and I could help someone else. And if somebody else is going through a tough time, whether it's grief, whatever, divorce, what kind of loss or pain, I can't take it away, but I could hold their hand. I could just be there. I can't even tell them what this is, or I could just share, this is what I did. This is my experience. It's not you, but just encourage them to say, just don't give up. I know it's hell, but don't give up. Don't give up. Just don't give up. Okay, it may be hell tomorrow, but don't give up. Just don't give up, because there's something coming. It could be, there's something coming. And that's what happened. That's what I experienced, because it was a long time for me. I'm going, like I said, God willing, I'll have 10 years this April. So it was really 10 years ago that I'm living this life. And it's a life I never expected. And it's been a great life. All these promises in my life. It's like, wow. And the last thing I'll say, Dr. B, is that I realize I can accept it now. The goodness. I could accept. In the beginning, I couldn't. Like when I was working, when I started coming to the program and counting my days, no, that can't happen to me. No, when is the wrench coming? Or when is that phone call? No. And I find myself today, the difference is today, life goes on with me, without me. Challenges happen in life. I lost my father when I was in sobriety, and I handle it in a different way. This is what I'm learning, is to live life on life's terms without picking up a drink, or without, being so angry. Not that, I can get angry, but not let it to control me. I can be afraid, but not let it to paralyze me. So I'm such a different person inside. Outside, I look the same, short, cute, whatever. So
there we go. A couple questions here. One is having your faith and that being a big part of who you are now. Does that help with the addiction portion of it? Because, when I worked in homeless services and I ran a facility, and I still have some payee folks that I have that are on disability, and the addiction just it takes over them, and some of them don't have that faith, and they don't have a higher power to turn to, and it's internal. So how has your faith helped you? Because I guess they say you're always wanting a drink and wanting to, and maybe that's been totally healed from you. But maybe talk about that a little bit. I'd love to hear.
Yeah, to me, my sobriety and faith goes hand in hand. God and sobriety. Like every morning I wake up that I'm alive. I thank God that I'm alive, that I'm sober, and that I have a God in my life. Because to me, without God, I can't be sober. Without sober, I can't have God. I can't have my faith. And so I have to, for myself, I go to these meetings where I listen to other people's experience. I pray the way I pray. My prayer life today is so different from than when I was a convent. My faith is so different when I was in the convent. Because put it this way, if I was today in the convent days, I wouldn't put up with all that stuff. I would have left. But that wasn't who I was. So here, so now today, my faith in God is so strong, and the program helps. And then, of course, I started going back reading the scriptures, like just doing little things, walking outside, but realizing all I have is today. And for those who are struggling with addiction and they may not have a faith, they may not have a God in their life at this time, I would just encourage them. There are so many resources out there to help them to live a sober life. And I mean, I love the rooms of AA. They didn't force anything down on me. I happened to go in, like God did for me what I could not do for myself. And I believe that that's there for everyone. And my heart goes out for those who are suffering with addiction and don't have a faith, and I don't judge them because I've been there. I was there. I just say, God has a plan, and they may not hear, at least I know it. Or I would tell someone, just say somebody's coming in the rooms just fairly new, and I don't believe in God. Okay, just believe that I do. You don't have to believe in God or believe in the room. Just believe that I do. That's it. And then there's so many, you could hear so many messages in the rooms of A when you go to these meetings, and how they have. I mean, I know someone who celebrated 8 years, and they were atheists. They didn't believe God because they just said the power of the rooms were their God. And that's one thing I've learned. Because there is the second step, which I've learned that it's not Gina who is the power. It's God is the power. Yeah, it's like and I had to repeat myself because I was playing God my whole life, in some form or fashion. And I had to repeat myself. Nope, it's not Gina. It's not Gina. Gina's not the power, because there is a higher power. Whether it's God, whether it's Jesus, whether it's the trees, whether it's something that is not you, that's keeping you sober, sane, whatever, at peace for that moment.
Yeah. One question I really want to explore with you is, like religion versus faith. I serve as a chaplain at a medical rehab place where people had strokes and accidents and burn victims, that kind of stuff. And I have many patients that are Catholic or whatever the faiths are that are there. And sometimes we struggle so much with who God is compared to what the religion says you have to do to experience God. Like, some of the things that they say, well, I can't get better unless I have communion. And I'm like, I don't know if that's, when I think of the God I serve, I don't think he has to have you drink, and remember the Last Supper in order for him to heal you. But they're so adamant in that's the only way I can be healed. And you were part of that. I don't know if you're still part of, Catholic faith, just not a nun, or what, but how do you help not only yourself or other people through getting past the religion, because it's evident you have a relationship, with God now that was probably way different than when you were.
Yeah. No, that's a good question because what I've learned with I was in a religiosity for
Mm-hmm.
12 years. Um, was I supposed to be there? I guess so, because that's what God meant. But
Yeah,
my insides, that's why I'm saying my insides, I didn't have any kind of relationship,
yeah,
spiritual
yeah.
relationship with God. And I had to go through a lot of pain, trauma, suffering. I had to go on the cross. I had to pick up my own cross. And then as time went on, as my life brought me into the rooms of AA, that's where I realized, oh my God, I need to be spiritual first. This is from me, my personal experience, spiritual first, and then religiosity, religious life, or the church, the Christian church, the Catholic church, the temple, whatever else feeds you, because that's communion. When you're in the church or any kind of church setting, you're with other people with the same faith, same believers, but it's a communion. But
Mm-hmm.
yet, I I personally, through my experiences, to have that heart to heart connection with God. Yes, God, Jesus can heal them through communion if they believe, but also Jesus can heal them through his word or just a relationship or just asking. I mean, Jesus could do it. God could do anything. There's so many
Yeah,
miracles in the air.
yeah,
And and then I do have to say, when I prayed with my mom, even with Danny, you know, helping them that they would stay alive, or what I wanted, and here they didn't. I didn't really have a relationship
mm-hmm.
with God to understand, saying, okay, okay, God, okay. And that's why it was so painful for me in my grief journey. And I mean, yes, grief is painful no matter what, but still, just not having that faith or that hope for me, which I received. And now, I'm more on the spiritual side. I'm very open to religiosity, like, and I don't judge anymore, because, as you know, when I was a sister, we would say, oh, you need to go to confession. i
Yeah,
remember I remember telling our friend Oscar, who was a homeless guy on the streets, who was an alcoholic, telling him, go light a candle, go to confession, and you be healed as from being an alcoholic. That's what I thought. And that's how I taught. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that, and that was just, I did not know back then.
mm-hmm.
That was it. And I mean, and so today for me, God could use anything.
Mm-hmm.
God, it could, to bring you closer to him. I do believe we each have a story and it gets unfolded. And if we could do our best, let God do the rest. We do our lousy best. You let God do the rest. He will form that story. He will come into the heart. If you ask him, I mean, he comes unexpectedly. Whether it's God or the Son, whatever someone believes in, that keeps them not only sober. But I'm also talking about bringing them peace.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Then go for it. Then go for it.
yeah.
Go. I mean, like, go for it. So for me today, yes, spiritually, I mean, I don't judge or whatever, compassion, whatever floats your boat. As long as you don't kill anyone, don't kill me. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because God sees, and God sees it all,
Yeah. Are you
and He
going to church
knows it
now?
all. What's that?
So are you going to church now still?
I sometimes, yeah,
Okay.
I do. Today I went to Ash Wednesday.
Okay. Well, there you go. Oh, there you go. Yeah. All right. I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
When you think about, you know, your faith and where you're at, like, I want to know what you're doing now and how you're doing, because now you've been sober for 10 years. We still have to live, right? We still have to eat. We have to drink. We have to be out in the community. We have to do stuff. What is your days like? What do you do to stay? Not only, I mean, I think you've conquered the alcoholism now, and that's not.
yeah.
But just to stay fulfilled and stay happy and stay joyous. What do you do? daily?
Well, every morning I wake, I do my prayers in the morning. I go to a meeting every day because that helps me, keeps me strong. I can never forget that I'm not cured, so I need that stability and that strength from other members. Um, Throughout the day, I had just recently I wrote my book, and I had published my new, I'm a new time author. So more recently, I've been trying to market and focusing on that. We live by the beach, do a lot of walking. And then I'm also, I'm certified whenever they call me or whoever calls me, I'm a certified end of life doula. So I'm with the, I be present. My service is to be present with the dying and their families. So, sometimes I get a call if somebody needs a help. I'm a helping hand to be with them, or be with someone who needs a ride to help out, service in that way. So I do keep myself busy, and I'm at the end of the day say, oh my God, I'm tired. And I've also learned that I have to take time for Gina, because sometimes I'm doing everything for everyone else out there, even trying to promote my book. I was like, no, I got to breathe in. Take time for Gina. And taking time for Gina is like, I love the beach. So I come to the beach, or just breathe in.
So as we're running down on our time, what would you like to talk, or if there's anything you didn't get to say that you want to, or tell us about your book and how we get a hold of it and what it's about and how we deal with it, and any other things that you want everybody to know before we end this. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you, Dr. B. I would love to. I'm a first-time author. That's the promises of one of AA has given me. That wasn't a goal or purpose in my life, but I felt like the purpose is to share my story, which I shared here. But in my memoir, it goes more deep. It talks more about my situation in the convent. It talks more about the situation with Danny, and more about my feelings and how I got through, every day. And it's called Shake the Dust Off Your Feet and Walk. It's available on Amazon. And then you could check my website out, called Gina Econ.com, which I've been trying to blog. I'm learning. I'm learning this new shoes of mine. But the purpose, and writing this book was for me, because I received more healing. We're always on this healing journey. That's my purpose, is to continue to be healing, but also to help at least one person, that message of hope and strength. And what I always like to share with those who are listening is like, don't give up, do not lose hope, do not be discouraged, and know that you're loved. And I always end it saying, if nobody told you that they love you, I do.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I can see the people that you interact with out in this community and out on the street. I can just see you loving on them. As you see, you probably even have a gift of seeing people who are hurting and being able just to comfort them. And so I just so appreciate you being out there doing that, even though you're not called none, you're called to minister and help folks. And I just so appreciate that you were able to fix Gina, as best as you could. I mean, we're all still broken in some ways, but enough to be able to actually help folks. And so the book is Shake the Dust Off Your Feet and Walk.
Yes.
Yeah, Shake the Dust Off Your Feet by Gina Economopolis.
You can't forget that name.
Yes, I love it. And so just thank you for being on.
Thank you.
That you would love to subscribe with this. If you know somebody that this could help, somebody who's going through it or somebody who has gone through it, this would be a great podcast for you to send it to them and have them listen to, and then go to Gina's website and be able to just communicate. And, I'm sure if you reached out, she would be willing to, talk to folks and help folks through the process, and maybe buy the book and get the book and go on Amazon. Give it as a gift. So many times we give gifts that are, I think about it all the time. Flowers are great, but they die. Or they're already dead by the time you got there. But you give the book, right? It lasts forever. It can last for such a long time. And so I just appreciate
Thank
you
you.
being on here. We'll look forward to talking to you guys on the next one. Please subscribe. Like I said, hit the notification buttons. Do all the things that we normally do on the YouTube sphere. And we will look forward to talking to you on the next one. You guys have an amazing, awesome, just incredible day. Don't forget that you are God's greatest gift, and He loves you if you allow Him to. Be safe.